welcome to the GodisaGeek podcast. I'm your host, Adam Cook, and joining me this week is Christopher White.
Hello.
How are you, mate? All right?
I'm good, man, yeah. You?
I am absolutely knackered, and we'll get to why in just a minute. And if that's not a teaser that allows me to introduce Adam Carroll, I don't know what is.
Hey,
How, mate? All right?
I'm
You
good,
good?
man. I'm good. Before we go on, right, I don't want to jump straight into food chat here, but I just have a...
Oh, God.
No, it's not disgusting. It's more of a kind of like, do you or don't you? But I kind of had a bit of a discovery the other night.
Sure.
Regarding a sandwich. Okay, so...
I'm already worried.
No,
please.
It's not
That's what the
disgusting.
listeners tune in for.
It's not disgusting. It's just, have you ever done this, or is there a thing that you... It's very kind of known, but I haven't had a...
Adam, I'm just going to tell you now,
Yeah?
in advance,
Yeah?
no, I have never put a sandwich up my bottom, okay?
Right,
I'm just going to tell you that now.
Okay. Never tried it myself. Do you know,
No, nor have I. But was that not where you were going? Sorry, I was just assumed.
I'm busy this weekend. Maybe the weekend after, if I have some time,
Sure,
I'll try it out.
sure,
But either way,
sure.
right? I made a sandwich the other day, and I just put cheese and sweet corn. That's all I did. Okay, cheese and sweet corn, right? Okay. Now it sounds pathetic, all right, but I ate it. Hang on
Now,
a second.
question. Important question. When you say sweet corn, you mean like tinned sweet corn, not corn on the cob. Like you didn't just slam a corn on the
I
cob
just have a
in
corn
between
cob,
two bits of
because
bread.
that would just be
okay.
ridiculous.
No, it would be, and I agree with you, and I'm sure Chris 100% agrees with that being ridiculous. However, you can never be too sure with you, mate. I just had to make
Of course.
certain.
I might try it someday. I've never really chowed down on a big corn on the cob like that.
The cheese, was it was it a particular type of cheese? Was it
just
melted
the whole
or was
block,
it just
the whole block.
slapped in?
No, I did put an absolutely disgraceful amount of cheese into my sandwich. Okay. Like, I actually did look at it, and I'd no one around me at the time when I was doing it, but I did say out loud, fucking hell, that's a lot of cheese.
So was the corn cold, or was it...
Corn was
so
cold.
like,
No, I put a bit of mayonnaise as well in there.
Oh, God almighty.
Mate, come on.
I was about to say, I'm look, sweet corn on a pizza, which is based, cheese based. Yeah, absolutely not averse to sweet corn and cheese.
Yeah.
The reason I would never have done it is because I feel like I would go to eat it and the sweet corn would all fall out and like.
What was it like?
The mayo makes sense now.
Was it like a loaf bought bread, or was it some fancy bread like? Thick,
it was straight up loaf. It was man.
Fuck that, mate. You need to There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with cheese sandwiches if you've got some nice cheese and some nice fancy bread. And even like I'd welcome the sweet corn, but not in just a loaf. You want some bread to support that mayo and that sweet corn.
I understand. No, the thing is, when Adam just said there's sweet corn falling out, no, I did have that because do you know the standard, like, do you know the 3-pack of tins of corn you can get? So they're like pretty small, but there's a lot in it still. Do you know those ones?
No. I'll be honest with you, I buy frozen sweet corn these days, like frozen peas.
What the fuck do you buy frozen sweet corn for? That sounds like way too much hassle.
Lasts longer. You can
Last longer, you can have it more often.
Well, the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had a lot of sweet corn fall on my sandwich because I actually used the entire tin of sweet corn in my sandwich.
just 2 slices.
Just 2 slices.
There was
fucking sweet corn everywhere.
The thing is, Ad. The thing is, look. There's just no. I think the only reason people are going to believe what you've done is genuine is my reaction to it. Because if this was scripted, Chris, help me.
This is getting to the question then that I have to ask you.
Yeah.
It was a whole.
I forgot there was a question.
Yeah, sorry. I thought the question was, have you ever done that? The answer was obviously no.
So listen, right? I put the mayonnaise on, I put the cheese on, then I put the whole tin of sweet corn on, and then I looked at it.
I mean, you did drain it, right? You drained the water.
I drained it, yeah. I'm not a big fan of the water, but
it's
anyway,
not an animal.
No, that's been established.
However, I did look at my sandwich and I went, "Fuck, that's a lot of sweet corn going on there, right?" And it was kind of. I actually had to start placing the bits that fell off. I was pushing them back on because there was kind of a little mound going on. But then I said, right, I'll put the other slice on now. And this is where my question comes into play, right?
Yeah.
I fucking put the slice of bread on and I squashed that sandwich.
Okay.
I actually made a fist and I just went boom and I just fucking started really squashing it down. And then I sat down and ate the sandwich. And I was like, fucking hell, do you know what? I don't mind a squashed sandwich.
No, especially because, if you were using like a cheese spread as well, or a mayonnaise, like you said, I can get behind that entirely, absolutely.
But would you ever because you see people do it. And you go,
do I punch the shit out of my sandwich? No, I don't.
But like, you just like full blown squash it like it's so fucking thin.
I think the only time I would do that is with if it was a crisp sandwich, which I haven't had for many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of that thing that you would do, but I do it with the cheese and the can of sweet corn. You should really try a can of sweet corn.
I'll let it breathe. I'll let my sandwich breathe.
Do you?
I'll let it squash it, mate. No.
See, I do it now because, and I started doing it all this week because I just feel that like nothing falls out of your sandwich. Then you're like, it's locked in. It's all going into your fucking gob and off you go.
So it wouldn't work for me because if I'm going to have a safe sandwich, like just a cheese or just a ham sandwich, I just got to the point in my life where that's just a bit boring. It's not nasty. It's still nice. But what I tend to do now is I would toast the bread, butter it, then put the cheese in and cut it up, or then put the ham, just because it gives you a different texture.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's aware, this is a video games podcast about food. Apparently, please carry on.
I just want to let me please take this segue. So, would you consider my tin of sweet corn blasphemous?
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Genuinely, no words, just brilliant.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't. No, not quite. I'd say that it's just you switching things up. Ad is what I'd say.
Okay.
That was quite good as well. But thanks. Adam Carroll reviewed Blasphemous on Switch. I've played 30 to 40, maybe an hour of it as well.
Really?
Tell us what it is, because I wonder if many people have heard of this. The fact it's on Switch, I think, helps it, because Switch is the hotness. But Blasphemous is what, Adam?
Blasphemous is a new 2D kind of side-scroller platformer, Metroidvania. There's all the words you could use.
It's definitely one of them.
It's definitely one of them. And I know, like, I kind of briefly said this in the opening of the review, but I know there's a lot of these have come out, such as like Dead Cells. We've had Bloodstained. There's a lot out there, and there's a lot of games as well that also take on the fucking Souls comparison and things like that. And I'm like, it's very. I think it's very hard to not. You'd love to not mention these things, do you know?
Yeah.
You'd love every game to just stand on its own merit and just be its own identity. In ways, Blasphemous does that, but it does take massive influence from the likes of those other games. It's done by Team 17, who are like kind of more.
Well, they published it.
They published it, and then developers the Game Kitchen. So the Game Kitchen, they did another game. Well, there's two other games before that called like the Last Door, which I think are like horror kind of games as well, of a similar art style, and that's the first thing I want to mention here is the art style of Blasphemous, which I just think it's unreal. I just honestly, like, you can see screenshots of the game and you can be like, yeah, that looks really fucking cool, whatever. But there was something about every time I sat down to play Blasphemous and it just booted up, I was like, oh, this game just looks unreal every time I start it up. It has that kind of I said this as well, it's this old school kind of 90s PC game effect going on. It's very nostalgic looking, but I just think what makes it stand out is the violence in the game, and like,
yeah, I agree.
This game it's violent. It is.
I'll be honest. It's kind of what's putting me off, actually.
Okay, so tell me why. What?
So it's just going to be a weird thing to say. So, the comparison, I would say the most recent comparison this game has got for me is Bloodstained, right?
Yeah.
And I think Blasphemous is a better game than Bloodstained, but I'd rather play Bloodstained. And the reason for that is that Bloodstained doesn't. It knows how silly everything is. Like the acting is, whether deliberate or not, hammy and cheesy, and it knows that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Blasphemous is, oh my god, it's super serious. I mean, one of the things I noticed early on is like he puts like so he wears this weird cone-shaped helmet, like it's a very sort of holy. It's, Blasphemous is the name. It's a lot of it's holy stuff, isn't it? It's church based. And like, so he's got this sort of conical hat, but it's like a conical metal hat, like a knight's head, like a knight's helmet, but like in a long kind of almost like a dunce cap, I suppose, but metal.
Yeah.
And like one of the things he does like early on in a cutscene is like he he gathers the blood from someone in it and then just puts that on his head. And like it's kind of grim, and the vibe it's going for, it nails, but I find it a little bit oppressive and uncomfortable for some reason. The game's good.
Yeah, I find that funny because that was when I said to myself, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna like this." I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
I'm just like, it's not even just to say because of the typical horror love that I have, but like, I'm just into holy fucking smokes. He just put this entire like helmet of blood on his head.
Bucket of blood. I mean, doesn't he drag the sword across his hand as well? Was that what the bloody paws?
Yeah. There's all that kind of stuff.
It's really grim. Like, it's really grim and oppressive. But I will say the vibe. It nails the vibe. It's super serious. All those little cutscenes are kind of like morbid. It's
not really. See, I don't know. Like morbid is. It's how you actually see and understand the game yourself. Because I think, just like the likes of Bloodborne and stuff, which I think the Bloodborne and Souls comparison first off, anyway. When I say that, it's not because it's not because of its difficulty. Really, the game gets hard, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this is just like
it's like every item and upgrade has got like a description and lore.
It's got a description, the lore,
and like when you die, you've got like a body you go and kill to get. I can't remember what it is now. Is it you lose half your vigor or something like that? Or?
Yeah. So you lose half of that. It kind of like just decreases and stuff. There's like thorns that kind of go down, and what ends up happening is if you die, such as like retrieving your souls, whatever, you have to go back and what's the thing you have to fucking pick up again? Your guilt fragment. You have to pick up your guilt fragment, and you can leave that behind if you want, because then you can find these certain like statues. They're very like epic looking.
Oh yeah.
Guys just kneeling down with all these things around them, and they'll free you of your guilt and stuff. And the reason to free yourself of guilt, or to rid yourself of guilt, is to like get your vigor back into place, because you need that to do the special moves and whatever
magic bar in it, really.
Your magic bar. That's basically what it kind of is. Now.
And you've got like an Estus flask as well, like with a limited amount of uses that you replenish when you rest at a statue as well, and you've got skills you can level up, and
and
it's one of those games, you know.
It's one of those games, and like you're kind of going, okay, fine, that's great, and even down to when you kill like a boss fight, which I'll get onto in a second, but every boss fight you finish, it comes up with a very similar thing, like prey slaughter. Do you know what I mean? It does.
Yeah, it does.
It takes these kind of things from those games, and that's really what I think is what influence it takes the most from that side of the Souls and Bloodborne game, is like it's all that. It's not the difficulty,
the world building
and stuff, because everyone you meet and talk to, it's all just like, it's super vague, it's super like what do you want about, like very early on there's like even a character who's just like behind a door, and he's not you can't even see him, he's just talking to you through the door, and that's very much like a lot of things you'd meet in the likes of Dark Souls and Bloodborne. So it's all those kind of things. The difficulty is fine, but I do think over the last like hour or two, like the boss fights are just fucking like, oh my god, there's so much going on that you know, it's a lot of trial and error for a while. But the enemies surrounding you, like they all have their unique way of fighting you. But like when I say unique, it's not like you'd meet this enemy with like, say, a big long fucking pole with fire on it and spikes, and like obviously you know that they're just going to charge you very quickly, so you're having to jump over them or parry them, and the parry mechanic in it is incredibly satisfying when it's working, and it takes a couple of times on certain enemies, and then sometimes the parry can throw you off in weird ways. So like when you parry, it obviously staggers the enemy. You can go in and just like unleash all fucking sorts of stuff, and it's really fun and satisfying. And then if you do it exactly at the right time, you get an execution move, which is like the enemy will kind of start pulsing red. You walk up, you press X, which like I played this on the Switch, you press X and it does this insanely violent execution animation, and that's like it's different for all enemies. So that's kind of fun to try and achieve as well, just to see those through. However, like the difficulty is where I had my issue, and it's kind of like, it's not really like the worst thing, but I mentioned this in the review. When you're in a situation of enemies throwing stuff at you, like fucking some electrocution fucking sphere, or just like throwing knives at you or whatever, if you're like on a wall, you can get knocked off, and that's fair game, it's understandable. If you then go to tackle them one-on-one and you get hit, you get kind of pushed back, and you're like, okay, that's fair enough too. The problem here is the way it's all timed in its design, because when you get knocked back and you're on the ground, like, you can't, there's no way of, like, you know, you don't press the button as quick as you can to get back up. It doesn't react that way. It's just he'll get up when he gets up and when he's ready. But in that space of time, the enemy that's already knocked you will probably throw another, say, weapon at you, and all of a sudden you're hit again. And you don't have enough time to, like, escape. Now, it's not always the case, but it did happen quite frequently. And it always seemed to happen when I was near, like, a pit of spikes. And, oh, Jesus, the spikes. Like,
yeah, insta-kill.
Insta-kill, and I mean,
I was a bit surprised by that. And then I lost my, not soul, but my corporeal sort of, my corpse, I suppose. But I couldn't get it back because it was on the spikes. You couldn't get it
because it's on the spikes. Now, I do think there's going to be a patch come into place to fix that.
Like they should kind of put it next to them or something. Like,
100%.
You literally can't get them back.
You can't get them back.
I wondered if there was like a double jump you could use. I mean, it definitely looks like there's a double jump in the game later. But I wondered if you could jump away from it, but it'd still be awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was like, it's really frustrating, especially in a very heated and exciting boss fight. Like, you can't help it, you know. So that was like kind of like the main gripe I was getting throughout what was pretty much the bones of a 20-hour long game, which is,
wow, it's that long. Okay, I didn't know.
Like, and I did end up seeing, like, I think it was possibly on E3 time or something. They had, like, the developer was getting interviewed, and he said that, and I was like, no fucking way. No way is this game going to be 20 hours long. Personally, it didn't feel like that, because when you get the gameplay down, like all these games, the exact same, like Dead Cells and Mark of the Ninja and all these things, when the gameplay eventually clicks with you and you have it down, it feels unreal. And that's the thing, because throughout the entire game you have that one sword. That's the only weapon. And
oh wow,
like, that's the only weapon you have throughout the whole thing. And with that comes obviously your upgrades. You have a set of rosary beads that you can attach skills to. There's loads of stuff. It gets quite deep. And I kind of thought, for a game that's going to be like nearly 20 hours long with the one weapon, is it going to stay fresh? It really does, because of the art style, because of the variety of enemies, and some of the boss fights are unreal. Like, do you know, you have those moments within the likes of Souls and Bloodborne where you could be stuck on... I actually used this example to a friend of mine, but when he was playing the Bloodborne DLC, I remember him being stuck on Lady Maria for a long fucking time, right? And you do meet bosses of the same size as you, like, as the penitent one.
Okay,
you know? You're just, so it's kind of like that kind of feeling I always think in a game, especially, it just feels like this is going to be an epic fight, you know, because we're both equally, like, same size, same weapon as such.
Gotcha.
You know? Those battles happen, and my word, when, like, I've died so many times in the goddamn game, but every time it doesn't overdo it. Like, you'll die and you go, right, I know that attack, fine. You die again, I know that attack as well. And there's only about 4 to 5 max attacks per enemy, per boss anyway, definitely within Blasphemous. When you have them down, you just all of a sudden become just unreal, and you feel unreal throughout it, and the battles become exciting, and there's a lot of, like, sliding and parrying and stuff that you have to do. And it just all feels so action-packed and so rewarding in that sense, you know. Now, story-wise throughout, it's just madness. And I'd be lying if I said I understood every single story beat. I didn't. It's just...
I mean, it's difficult that... All of it is, let's say, it's so churchy. Like, some of the stuff you're equiping is like rosary beads, and
it has a very religious theme. Obviously, like we haven't.
Yeah, and I'm not. Religion and I tend to have an awkward relationship. I
think a lot of people have that.
And some of the sort of, I guess, symbiology and the sort of, the general churchiness of it. Like it all feels. It just makes me feel a little uncomfortable, which I guess is a success because I think it's supposed to.
Well, I think it's ballsy. I think it's ballsy to like.
It's ballsy to lean into something that hard because even the people like behind Bloodstained who made Castlevania, they know not to go that far. There's vampires and shit. Like it's Dracula essentially. They know.
And like, see, that's the thing. Like, when you compare it to something like Bloodstained, like I do prefer this. I do prefer Blasphemous to Bloodstained. Bloodstained, I do love, but
but that's what I'm saying. I think Blasphemous is a better game, but and now you've said it's 20 hours as well. Like, I wonder because this game's done well, like in terms of critical response. Like, you gave it a 9 out of 10, and that's kind of the mark of it. I don't know what it's on like on Metacritic at the moment, but most reviews I saw were 8s and 9s. The thing is, and I think by the end of this podcast, people will know what I'm talking about. The amount of games coming at the moment, I think it definitely deserves attention, and it deserves to find an audience. Whether it will or not, I think the Switch will help.
It runs incredibly smooth on Switch.
Not being funny, but I would hope so because it's But I don't know, like I like it, and every time I'm on the Switch playing something else, I keep thinking, I should go back. And it's 2 or 3 times I've gone back and I've enjoyed it and made a bit of progress, and then sort of stopped. And then it sounds really horrible because it is a very good game, and like I can already understand your review where you're coming from, having played all of it. But for me, like for example, Ori and the Blind Forest has just come out on Switch, and I kind of would rather play that through again, just because it's like what I will say about Blasphemous is it's completely successful. Like, it's not just the fact it commits to that tone, but even the visuals match the tone. Unfortunately, do you ever have one of those games where, in fact, we had the question the other week about a game you desperately want to play, you love, but it kind of jars with my tastes. Like, I can absolutely, if I'm to be objective, I could say I understand your 9 out of 10, but for me, I just kind of can't get to it. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
I do completely understand where you're coming from, because I was toying with like almost like an 8 to 8.5 at once because of the sheer and utter frustration I was having with the rebound effect with the enemies and throwing me back. I was like, but as I was progressing, I just really started to fall in love with the world, with the characters, with the violence, with the music, even just with the character of the Penitent one. I actually I just loved it. It was like, it's one of my favourite games. It's the game I'm thinking about the most of this year so far. And I didn't expect that. Like, I really didn't. Not to say that it wasn't going to be good, but I just thought maybe I've played a bit too many of these games
I will say, Team 17 as a publishing arm, I know people think of them as Worms and that sort of stuff, but as a publishing arm, they've been really smart with a lot of these games. A lot of these games have been well received. I can't think what the name of the game was. Gary reviewed it. It was a sort of 3D Minecraft third-person type thing. Oh, God, it's very colourful, but like they did that. I'm really sorry, I can't remember the name of it. Ukulele was them. But yeah, you can read Adam's review on GodisaGeek.com. It's the first review, I think, for GodisaGeek.com.
Yeah.
Where he gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's a terrific read, and I suggest you do so. But the game you've spent 20 hours playing, I reckon Chris has played 20 hours of a lot of different games. Because he sat there very patiently, and the list of what he's been playing. The thing is, a lot of these aren't big games, and I mean that like... Blasphemous isn't what you'd call a big game. It's not a AAA. But, for example, Sayonara Wild Hearts isn't a big game in that... Well, it's actually quite a big game in terms of indie, because it's from Simogo, who are... Everyone seems to love Simogo, like Year Walk and all that,
amazing.
But I've played a bit of this, so before we sort of delve into Chris, I'm going to make you wait a bit longer. I'm just going to say, have either of you got iPhones or iPads?
No.
I have an iPad.
What, you haven't got an iPad, Chris, or an iPhone? I know you've got an Android, but...
I've got some... No, I've not got an iPad, no, or an iPhone or anything. So I'm a bit gutted about what you're going to talk about.
So yeah, I just want to throw a very early recommendation for Apple Arcade out there, because I'm going to actually, at some point this week, as you're listening, listeners, I'm going to have to go into the site's back end and add Apple Arcade to the reviewable platforms, because not that iOS has not been that, because we used to cover a lot of mobile games and we just haven't had the time. But Apple Arcade has had a stellar launch. At the moment, if you're on iOS 13, you can go and get a free month of this. And what this is Netflix for games. This is the structure that, for me, Google Stadia should be adopting, where they're all like going, oh yeah, well, if you buy into the premium thing, you'll have Destiny 2, but not if you're free, it's only for this and that. And it's like, oh yeah, you still have to buy games. I know they're streaming, but Apple Arcade's hugely impressive. Like, there's a couple of little guides to how to pair a PS4 or Xbox controller on the website. It's so easy to do. And I sat there with AirPods on for the audio, playing Sayonara Wild Hearts, playing What the Golf, and like there's a brand new... So there's a new Rayman on Apple Arcade. Like, you know, I've been going on and on about Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins and how there should be another one. They did it. It's an Apple Arcade exclusive. I haven't played it yet. I'm desperate to sit down and play it.
So does that assemble with care as well, the new Us 2 game?
Yep, absolutely.
Monument Valley.
There's like,
yeah,
so Capcom have made a new Metroidvania on there that's apparently being rave reviews. This is like an underwater one. It's like my iPad's too old. I want to buy a new iPad for this, but it's coming to Apple TV, which I have got a 4K one of. So I'm going to be. I think that's the end of the month. I think so. I'll be able to play them on there, and that basically turns Apple TV into a console. And I'm like, it's like the quality of games that have hit Apple Arcade, like Sayonara Wild Hearts, which Chris will talk more about in a minute, is phenomenal. The developers they've got involved are real high-profile developers, like Simogo, like you say, like Us Two, Capcom. Yeah. There's more. I'm forgetting. There's a new Frogger, and there's a new Sega. You know, Sonic Team Racing. There's a new one of them. Like, the quality they've got, where there's, I think, there's 70 odd games now, and they're going to be pushing to 100 by the end of the month. If they can keep that quality coming, like people are talking about Untitled Goose Game, I could see that hitting it. It's that kind of game. You know, there's a game that's like a Zelda-style game that it looks incredible. Like, the reviews of it on the App Store are people like going, oh, I thought that the videos and screenshots were just like fake until I played it, and it's like, this is amazing what phones can do. So if you have got an iOS device that can run iOS 13 and modern stuff, free month that you can cancel any time, and you can be playing some seriously good games like the one Chris is going to talk about. Yeah.
So Sayonara Wild Hearts, it's basically they call it a pop album video game.
Yeah.
So from the start, it's not a long game by any means. So you can sit down and play it in an hour.
It's an album, isn't it? It's a music album.
Yeah, but it's not trying to be anything more. Like basically it's like a rhythm game, very colourful, very pretty, a lot of like neon pinks and oranges and blues, and it'd be perfect for like the Apple Arcade because of how simple it is. Like, there's not a lot of controls to it. You move left, right, and occasionally you have to press a button prompt, which is just the same button, so it's fine. So it's very easy to play. It's very easy to get used to, but it does become more complex over the levels. So some levels are like 30 seconds long. They're kind of like little fillers to the next track. Some of them have proper like 3-minute songs that you play through, and you basically the story is a girl's just had a heart broken. And it's kind of like a journey of self-discovery, I guess. And it basically follows different like levels for different zones. So there's like one set in a dilapidated city, one set in a desert, one set in a forest, and you ride on motorbikes in like Cadillacs. You experience something where you're in someone's VR headset which is kind of really smart as well. So there's a lot of different ideas, and you basically, it's just very smooth how it runs through the tracks, and like when you crash, it restarts again very quickly, so you never kind of lose your rhythm. And it's just wonderful. Like, there are certain games that have great soundtracks. Like, one game that sprung to mind when playing it was a game called Lost in Harmony, which is another rhythm game which I played on the Switch, which has got a great soundtrack, and it makes it easier to play because you actually care about the music as well. And like there is some songs aren't amazing, some are really catchy, some are like blatant pop songs, like others are kind of instrumental pieces, but they're always kind of switching.
It reminds me of churches.
Yeah, yes.
A lot of the music reminds me of like, I mean, is it The Mother We Share, that song?
Yeah, there's a track early on called Begin Again, and it's sung by a girl, and it's that does remind me.
Is that the first one on the motorbike?
Yeah, when you
that's the one.
Go through that, like the earth opens up and you like kind of fly through, collecting the hearts. Yeah,
I've only played about 4 or 5 tracks because I just wanted to see what it was about.
Yeah, I mean it's quite diverse. Like, there's some really good ideas. Yeah. Like, there's a parallel universe one where you're going along a track and then it skips to this completely different track, and then it skips back to the original one, and it keeps jumping between the two, and there's different obstacles in each track that you have to remember for when it switches again. Like, loads of little clever ideas like that, and there's just some really good effects. And for saying it's not like really detailed, it does well with it, like the minimalistic designs of it, and it's just a really pretty cool game. And as I say,
gorgeous.
It's not long, but it's really, really nice, especially when you can do it in one sitting. So yeah,
and the thing about it is like, just not to reiterate what I've said already. If you have an iOS 13 device, you can play it for free.
Yeah,
because that first month is free, and this is actually the featured game on the store at the moment on the Apple Arcade. So you can play it for free. I would suspect anyone listening to this podcast has a PS4 or Xbox One controller they can sync if they want to play it with an iPad, you know?
Yeah. It's dead easy to play, so yeah, I'd certainly give it a go. What else? I've played quite a few games,
You've
Adam.
got a lot, mate. You go for it.
So, one game I want to talk about as well, which surprised me because I'd never heard of it until very recently, and it's a game called Mutazione.
Which by the way, also on Apple Arcade.
Oh, is it?
Yep. I didn't even know that until I was literally downloading 20 games last night. And it's
right.
on there.
Well,
yep.
This is amazing. So it's I'm only going to mention this once because I don't want to keep comparing it because it isn't similar in story or anything. But Night in the Woods, the way that plays in terms of the speech, there's no talking. It's just a lot of text between the characters. But you never grow tired of it because it's so well written, and you're basically this 15-year-old girl who goes to this island or this former holiday resort, which was kind of obliterated by a meteor called the Moon Dragon, and it kind of messed with people's biology and turned people into mutants and kind of created different kind of flora on this island stroke holiday resort stroke town, whatever you want to call it. And you go to this island because your grandfather lives there, who's been working as kind of a researcher for the different plant life there. And he's dying, so you obviously go there to see him. Your mum sent you. It's just, you meet a wide range of different characters, and they're so well written, like you really kind of feel connected to them. Like, there's some really nice moments, especially one really early on where you're all sat around a barbecue and you're talking. And it's just really, like, really well done, and it helps. Like, there is a story to it, but the best thing about it is the character interactions. There's like regardless of what the main story is, there's things like, which is mentioned on the internet. I'm not spoiling anything for you, but there's like a question of one of the people are having a baby, but they're not sure who the father is. It's like they call it a soap opera on their website, like the developers. It's like a mutant soap opera, and there is a lot of kind of like stories within it, but you genuinely care about them, and you keep going from characters all over this resort and talking to them whilst doing your own thing and trying to move along the main story. And it's set over the course of a week, and it starts on the Sunday, I think, or Saturday, and it starts on a Sunday, and it'll be like morning, then it goes to afternoon, then it goes to evening, then it goes to late night, and then you go to bed and you wake up. So again, like that game. But and another aspect to it, which weirdly fits in well, and with all these plants that are growing on this island that your grandfather and his friends have been researching, they've all kind of got different properties. So certain characters tell you about these plants that will help them either get better or they help do all sorts of things. And you grow a garden, so you grow different gardens in around this holiday resort, and you grow gardens to grow these plants to then use harvest them and use their properties to do whatever you need to do with them. And as you grow them, there's like music that plays, specific songs that play for each garden. And it's just, you just kind of sit there and grow this garden. It's quite cathartic, and it shouldn't fit really. It's weird how it all fits together very well, and I was just surprised by how much I loved it. And it's not like it's not a huge game, but it doesn't need to be. Like it's about 5 or 6 hours, but it's a really well written narrative game with some nice little surprises in it, and it's funny as well. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's got everything. And I was really surprised by it. So you should go and check out that review on our site.
Fair enough.
We'll plug that. And then I went to Windsor.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely Windsor. And I went to Nintendo HQ to play some Star Wars Pinball and then review it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's brilliant. As a Star Wars fan, it's amazing. It's perfect fan service. It's basically a collection of all the Zen Studio tables for Star Wars, all put together in one collection, and it's got tables from the original saga, the prequels, the last two, so Last Jedi and Force Awakens. It's got ones from Solo and Rogue One, and then it's got tables for specifically just for Darth Vader and specifically for Han Solo, and then there's one that's got the Siths against the Jedis, and then there's between so in the career mode you go through all these tables and there's different modes which I'll get to in a sec, but then there's little breaks in between the tables where there's missions where you have to control a little BB-8 around this little area, and you have to stop him from being caught, and then there's another one where you have a lightsaber fight with Darth Vader and you're using the flicker buttons and the launch button to kind of to control them, so that's kind of cool. And it's just really good. The modes themselves, you've got the typical earn as many points as you can in 5 minutes, and then you've got you only get 3 balls, and whatever score you get, if it's enough, you get to move on to the next table, and you get enough of these things called holocron shards, which eventually get you to level up your character, or give them certain skills which will also help. And then there's other ones where you've only got 200 flicks of the flicker, and it's just stuff like that really. And the all I can say is without, I always struggle to wonder what's the definitive pinball game. Is it so much so of putting a skin such as Star Wars on and putting all these little...
no, mate. These are properly designed pinball tables. These aren't just
Right.
These are properly designed pinball tables with all the sort of bells and whistles you get on a real pinball table. They've all been designed with each film. I've played this too. They've been designed with each film or cartoon or Christ. There's all sorts in this game. There's loads. There's the Clone Wars and that's right. But they've all been designed
Rebels,
around them. I'm trying to think of a specific example. There's one with the Millennium Falcon will fly off if you get something right, but then someone will run out and you have to start shooting at you and stuff, and it does all this weird stuff that they are designed for digital, but I think this is the sort of stuff you get on the really cool pool tables. Pinball tables.
Oh man, I could.
Machines.
If these were real, fucking hell. If I was a millionaire,
I think some of them must be.
I'd have them all. They're so cool, and as you say, they kind of certain ones, the ones based on the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi. They play through certain scenes within the film, and within that, you have to kind of do certain missions. So like the Force Awakens table in the film where you meet Han Solo and Chewbacca, and you go to that. There's like them Rathtars, which are those big kind of like that big monster that takes all of those thugs out. There's a bit where one of them pops up, and you have to kind of hit the ball at it and knock it out to be able to get past that area to get onto like a higher score. There's a bit where on the Phantom Menace table where Qui-Gon Jinn fights Darth Maul, and you have to hit the pinball at Darth Maul, and if you hit him, you get 1,000,000 points like that. So there's all of those throughout it, and it's really cool. And with it being on the Switch, I mean, this won't work for everyone, but there's the option to switch this, like how you view it. So you can turn your Switch upside down. Well, not upside down.
So
it's like
machine
vertical, like, as you will, yeah. So you can then it adapts the controller, so you could use the buttons at the bottom as the flickers, which it works all right. I prefer to have it normally.
There are peripherals that hold the Switch like that, like in a table. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, we didn't use them.
No, but yeah, you can certainly get ones like that. But it's amazing. Like even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it's a really well, like, you like pinball, you want to give it a go. It's certainly worth it. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. There's not loads outside of the main kind of missions, but it's certainly worth a bash.
But that's not all you played at Windsor, is it? You played one of my most wanted games of the year.
Oh yes. So I was very fortunate enough to play some of Luigi's Mansion 3 in co-op.
A series, by the way, that does not get anywhere near the love it should. Like, by the time this podcast is live for everyone, I mean, if you're a Patreon, you've seen this about a week ago, but there will be a video preview, and it was. I mean, I already wanted the game, but it was only when cutting together the video. Let's say it was a couple of weeks ago at this point, that I remembered how delightful those games are. Like the little animations that you don't notice, the things that Nintendo do that you tend to not notice, but it's that quintessential charm people always the cliche that's true. Little animations that they probably could get away with not doing, but do anyway. Yeah.
And it's how they managed to build Luigi as a character with very little dialogue, just the odd noise or the odd words, and it's just so charming and he's so lovable.
I find it quite interesting here, though. You said in co-op.
Yes.
Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. That's like cracking. Like, I'd be really up for playing this co-op. But I find it unusual that like, did they let you play it single player at all, or was it?
Yeah, you did both, didn't you, Chris?
So I've done. So yeah, I mean, the when I went and played it in June, I think I played. All single player.
Yeah, but this was an event for co-op, wasn't it? But you played some single player too, didn't you?
Yeah, I played about. It was literally like 5 minutes this time around. Yeah. But the main focus was to see how the co-op worked, because one of the guys at Nintendo who played with me, he used one of the Joy-Cons. I used the other. However, you can also both use a controller. You know, you can play it however you want, really. And one of you will control Luigi, and one of you will control Gooigi.
It's still brilliant. Just hearing someone else say it's brilliant.
It isn't just like, it's not just another Luigi. Like, Gooigi has got, like, being Goo, being like Goo is. It like, so an example, it can move differently, obviously. So there was a star in a bathtub with a load of watermelons around it, obviously, because that's what happens. And I couldn't get in the bath because I wasn't big enough. So Gooigi went down a drain in the room, went underground, then went through the bathtub plug hole to pick up the star, and then gave it to me. And then he came back, and yeah. But also, like, there are certain like enemies, so certain ghosts which are bigger. Which one of the new techniques is to grab a ghost and kind of control it. It will like run off. Or try and fly off, so you have to kind of control it, and it fills a little circular gauge around the button, and when it fills up, you can press A, and then you'll slam him into the ground, and you can then move how you slam him, and so you can essentially slam him into other enemies. But when it's a bigger ghost or a bigger enemy, you can't do it on your own, so that's how he will help you as well. And there are lots of other little puzzles. I mean, this game is like dense. There's so many little bits in every single part of the house that I've played so far, this haunted mansion, where you can do a lot of it on your own, but you can also do a lot of it in co-op. There's a bit where I got like caught up with one of these vines, and it trapped me, and there was no way I could get out. My buddy Luigi had to saw one of the vines off using this chainsaw, but when he got to the chainsaw, it wasn't powered, so we had to work out how to power it and how to use it. So he basically used a flashlight to power it on, give it power, and then had to use his ghost vacuum thing to suck it up, and so it could be held like a chainsaw, and they had to come and cut me free. Like, just so many intricate little details in one simple puzzle. Like that's everything I've seen so far. Every bit of the game I've played, that's it.
I just can't wait.
Much.
I just can't wait for that game, man.
The boss battle, man.
There's some of that in the video. People will see that. Like,
it's
I didn't.
So good.
I cut the video up quite a bit because I don't really want to spoil anything. But it's just
no. I mean, it's just.
Oh, I want that game.
It's just the way, like the boss battle. It's your typical 3-phase kind of thing, but it's the way it does it, and being in co-op is one of the best ways to play this. And I can imagine, like, not a lot of people may do this, but I think co-op is certainly. Currently one of the best ways to play this.
We don't yet know if it's online or not. That's the only thing. Like,
no,
I'm hoping it is.
It would be cool. It would be cool and easier if it was. But
I mean, I'm just going to say this though. By the way, we all talked about the Switch in its first year, like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. Don't get me wrong; 2 of the best games Nintendo have ever put out. This year might be the strongest year Nintendo have had. Think about Luigi's Mansion 3. Link to the Past. Sorry, Link's Awakening. I just reviewed it.
Pokemon.
Pokemon is still to come, right?
Oh, God.
Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, Link's Awakening, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem.
Mario Maker 2.
Mario Maker 2, man. How? Like, so what this has made me wonder if they can... So think about it, right? First year, Mario Odyssey, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, right? Year 3, I believe, that we're in now, aren't we? It's year 3, right? Yeah, it's year 3.
Yeah.
We've had Mario Maker and Link's Awakening. That makes me think year 5 will be another 3D Mario, and that's when we'll see the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 thing, that whatever that is. Because they'll get away with not releasing those next year, because probably Metroid Prime next year, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Anyway, Luigi's Mansion 3 preview up on the site. Go and watch it on youtube.com/GodisaGeek.
Yes.
You need... Our YouTube's blown up. I'm just going to say that. You need to be on there. You need to be subscribed. You need to hit that bell, and you need to be commenting, because you want to be part of that community now, not coming in late and going, oh, I was there. No, you weren't. We know. Come on. Get on it. What else, Chris? While we're talking to you about what you've been playing, there's a couple more. So go on.
So just because in my spare time that I found little of, I played a game that I haven't got a chance to play yet the other day, and that's Gears 5.
Oh. Yep.
So I have just finished Act 1.
Oh, you've not even got to the best stuff. My God.
No way. So I'm getting familiar with the gameplay mainly, and there's been some story, and there's been a hell of a lot of like fucking sexy cutscenes and visuals, like
mate, doesn't it look good?
Even outside of like playing it, oh man, just like for those that have played it, the theatre.
Yeah,
the theatre
again. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil, but there is a section. There's a reveal, I suppose, in Act 3 that is maybe the best looking part of any game I've ever seen on a 4K HDR telly. Like, it is... The lighting in this game is...
Oh, fucking hell. And you're right about the sound as well. Like,
that sounds brilliant.
It's so incredible. Like, everything I've played so far, and I will continue this, like, I'll be finishing this soon. It's just fantastic. Like, the gunplay, like the stealth elements, like I know what you're referring to now.
It's light.
They're not massive, but they're very useful. Especially
they're little puzzles. They take the idea that Gears is a combat puzzle. Each arena is a combat puzzle, and they kind of go a different direction with it. And there are routes you can take to make the stealth easier or harder.
And I really like your little robot buddy, Jack, or Dave, great. Whoever you want to call. Like just like going to collect stuff for you.
Yep.
It's quite helpful. It's quite useful, and just amazing. Just amazing so far. And I've like just seen the Hammer of Dawn
Yep.
Fuck it hell. Yeah, man. I'm well into this. It's very good. So yeah, been on the old Gears of War 5.
Yep.
So there you go. I have played something else, but we'll talk about it in a bit. I don't know if you want to introduce this bad boy.
It's my time to talk about FIFA 20.
This is your time to shine, yeah.
Okay, FIFA 20 is fantastic. It's fantastic. It's, as usual, it's become a known quantity in that they've kind of now got their formula. They have got the gameplay pretty good, and they improve on it. And I don't want to repeat what I've said in the review too much, but like when I used to play pro clubs, we're talking 5, 6, 7 FIFAs ago. Maybe 5 years ago. I used to play like the defensive. I would be the innie, so we'd have people that would be the left winger, the midfielders, the strikers. But I would be the innie because I was the one that people trusted with the back four to do the defending. As FIFA's grown and got bigger, I've always felt the defensive side of the game has been lost. I think that of actual real football, you can't slide in anymore. Like, I watch my son, and he's one of the most brilliant timers of a tackle. And I worry that it's just not there anymore. You're not allowed to do it. You've got to be so clean with a tackle that defending is kind of becoming a dying art. But it's not. It's changed to be a different kind of defender. FIFA itself has now changed again to bring the defensive part back in. It used to be hold down right trigger to sprint and hold down the A button on an Xbox controller, and you'll sort of home in on them, and eventually you'll win the ball if you're lucky enough. Now it's become more that you do need to sprint to get back in. You do need to press the B button to make the tackle, or the A button to sort of line yourself up. But you also have to use the left trigger, which is like your kind of jockey button, to sort of show them outside. Like, as someone who coaches football, when you've got a winger coming at a fullback or a defender, you want them to go away from goal. They can't hurt you if they're away from goal. In theory, that's not always the case. But this game brings that into FIFA. You sort of jockey, you hold the left trigger, you stand up, and you stand the player up, and you kind of try and say, go on, what are you going to do? Are you going to come at me? Or are you going to go out wide? But you're not going that way because I'm standing here. You can also use that to defend in other ways, like blocking the pass. You can read the game. And on top of that, what I feel they've done this year is they've actually made pace important. Adam, I know you're not a football fan, but one of the things that all football games, PES and FIFA, have had issues with is that if I'm a big defender, I shouldn't be as fast as the sort of short, really quick winger. I shouldn't be able to catch you if you're that quick winger. But you can, because you just hold the sprint button down. In this, you can't. If you're a real quick winger, you can break the back line like that. And I think that's cool as well. It's made player personality a bit more important. Raheem Sterling is quick. Vinicius Jr., Jadon Sancho, these are quick players. But likewise, Van Dijk is probably a player who could, it's not going to happen apart from an Ultimate Team, he could stand up against a Mo Salah because he is quite quick as well. The only thing I would say is I'm a bit concerned about Ultimate Team and the direction it's heading. Because we all know the loot box stuff, and it's been a discussion for, all year really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In FIFA Ultimate Team, what you used to be able to do is there was a persistent thing that was across all of your FIFAs, like your, I can't remember what it's called, it's like EA Catalogue, or the FIFA Catalogue, and you got XP just for playing the game, and because I never used it for 4 games, I had thousands of XP. So that meant you could apply coin boosts, so that every match, instead of getting 300 coins for a win, you get 1,300 coins, or 500 boosts, so you get 800 coins. They've taken that stuff out of there. That catalogue's no longer there. And what they've done is they've replaced it with some sort of battle pass, by which, the Fortnite thing, if you buy the battle pass and you can, level 1, you get a reward. Level 2, you get a reward. You don't have to pay for it. It's part of the game. And it seems to change every 50 to 60 days. I think it's about 2 months. Each season's 2 months. The reason that concerns me is that I think that might make the game more grindy. Because it was always a given that you'd have a load of currency because you could apply coin boosts. Now you have to earn the coin boosts. You're going to be getting coins slower, and you can't rely on the packs to give you good players because you just. I've got one really good player. I packed Laporte, Man City's centre back, who's 87, and I'm well happy with that because that's the best I've ever packed in a FIFA game. I see people getting legends and team of the weeks or team of the years or team of the seasons, and I've just never been lucky enough to get that shit. But Laporte's a real good pack for me. I mean, he'll get a team of the week. Well, he's not fit at the moment, but you know what I mean. He will at some point. Players like him, Van Dijk's a 90 rated player. He'll get a team of the season or team of the week, and he'll be unplayable. And Salah and Mane and all the the players who are currently doing it at the top level. But I just worry. It's difficult. The review's up. I love the game. I'm still playing it. I will play it all year. The only issue I've got is that I'm concerned about that grind, but I won't know for sure until the first season's over, and there's cosmetics in there, there's all sorts. Until we hit season 2 or 3, which will probably be sometime next year, season 3, we won't know if the grind is real. But the gameplay's great. The Volta mode, it is what it is. It's FIFA Street. I'm surprised they put this in the game and they didn't try and sell it separately. Fair play. I sent Adam a clip and I put it on Twitter of the Irish accent that I still am just... I don't know what that is.
It's mind-blowing.
It's... I just... I don't get it, right? Why didn't they just hire you? To just do some Irish voice on a mic?
I don't know if that voice actor is... he could be Irish, but it just doesn't sound...
It doesn't help that he says the word panna, which should only ever be said like, panna! It should never be said like, oh, it's because I panned you. It just sounds dreadful.
Yeah, it's really poor.
It's great. It's not great. It's not great, is it? Let's be honest.
No, it's not, but it's really enjoyable to listen to.
But that is their... the journey was over last year, but this is their story mode. There's a story mode in here. There's no dialogue choices sort of thing like there was in that. It's a little bit less involved, but it's still their commitment to doing it. It's
impressive.
Kind
I think
of impressive. I wondered what they do, because the thing is, by finishing the journey, you've got 2 choices at the time. You either stop, which feels like you're removing a feature from the game, which doesn't it really? If the story mode's not there after putting it in for 2 years or 3 years rather, it suddenly feels like it's not there. Or they start a new story and call it something else. But this is also quite cool because it gives a whole new gameplay mode. So. I've also, and this is very early impressions, I finally started Borderlands 3.
Okay.
I quite like it, actually.
Yeah?
I'm
You sure?
Yeah, no. I played it literally before recording this, and I kind of can't wait to play more of it. It is more Borderlands, but it's been 7 years. I didn't play the Handsome Collection because I played those games to death. So for me, it has been probably 5 to 7 years since playing a Borderlands game, and so far nothing much has changed.
But and are you okay with that? Was there anything in previous titles that you were like, I'd like them to improve upon this?
Well, to be honest with you, not much changed from 1 to 2. They kind of doubled down on internet-y humour, and I'm already seeing some of that. But I kind of am playing it as a zone-out game. I'm just there shooting shit, and collecting loot. And the thing that differentiated 1 from 2 most was the Vault Hunters, and the Vault Hunters had their... basically, the ultimate's different. And I've gone with Mose in this one, who is... she's got a mech, and the mech can be customised, and it's just that's really cool. And then I can see the Beast Hunter one, I might have a go on that at some point, where it's got a pet that attacks enemies. That's what differentiated 1 and 2 mostly. Not entirely, there's more to it. There's definitely part of it, and there's definitely an angle where you could say this seems kind of lazy, because the textures don't even seem like they've changed all that much. The ground still is that... It's a comic book look, isn't it, in a 3D game, and it's just... But I always liked it. So what would I want them to do with that? I haven't seen any of the technical issues yet, but I have played an hour and a half tops. I'm going to keep playing. Between that and Gears, I kind of really want to play with people. I want some co-op in my life. And they're kind of... Gears and Borderlands have all been that for me for a very long time. Would I like them to rip up trees with the evolution of the game? I think 7 years is quite a while to be away and then come back and go, yep, more of that then. But whether I will drop off or not or keep playing, it's too early to say. But aside from that, I've been very busy. I've reviewed a Switch Lite. Link's Awakening is not. I don't want to really go on about because I said quite a lot last week. My opinion was pretty much the same. I love this game. I think technically it needs a patch, and the chamber dungeons to me just aren't what I'm here for at all. I'm sure some people love them. I'm just not here for it. I think I said it in the video review and in the review itself. The idea is great. The execution is not. It needs to be more. There needs to be more of it, and allow me to share with you online. Don't make me save my creation to an amiibo and get you to use it to get it into your game. That's old-fashioned and archaic. I also played Deadly Premonition Origins. Ooh. And
it's still the best game ever made. You're dead right, Adam Cooks. You're dead right.
So it's rough in 2019 looking at that game.
It was fucking rough when it came out.
It was rough when it came out, but it's really rough looking at that on a Switch.
That clearly means it's just aged gracefully.
It's aged. The thing is, it was so weird that it has aged fine in terms of the actual game, because it was weird then and it's weird now. It's just a really bizarre, truly bizarre game. Amazing that game even exists. What I will say is that because of that sort of originality, it made me go, yeah, actually, I'd like to see a new one of these made now, like with modern technology and looking good, and it's a bit of a budget behind it, because, like, yeah, the game's weird and it's aged poorly visually, and, like, I'll be honest with you, you know what? Do you remember the noise the enemies, the thing they say? And
yeah.
I don't want to die. That still freaks me out. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But
I adore that game.
It's same. It's a place in my heart for it. But like playing it now, I'm like, it's fine. It's just I don't know who this is for, because I'm playing it for like the third time because they did a PS4 or 3. I can't remember HD version, and like playing it gets like if you played this for the first time, you'd be doubling down on the weird, and you'd go, this looks bad.
I just think it's a game for people who are just into like weird stuff, and
it is,
along with like Twin Peaks with a twinge of horror and all this kind of stuff. Like, but
it is.
What did you play this time?
Switch, just a normal Switch, but I reviewed the Switch Lite. By the time you hear this, I'll have played some of it on the Lite. The Lite is a weird thing, okay? Because I was expecting to just get it and go like, okay. So it's one of them. I wasn't expecting to come out thinking, actually, this is going to be my main Switch. And the reason's simple. Like, first of all, when you hold the Switch, I've been playing a lot more handheld mode. I never used to. Now I'm playing a lot. It's my, something else is on the telly. I'm sitting here in the comfy lounge playing on the Switch thing. The original Switch, like where the Joy-Cons, you hold it by the Joy-Cons, it always has that weird shake about it, doesn't it? Like it always feels not secure. That's of course gone. I don't miss that. I don't miss that feeling weird when I've got a light in my hand. Also, I've always felt the Switch itself is a little bit too heavy for a real long handheld session. Okay? That's no innuendo, please. The Lite is when you look at the numbers, it's not that much lighter, but it is when you hold it. Like, it's significantly lighter to the point where it's like, I could play this for hours and I have no problem with it. Because you actually got to hold one as well, didn't you, when you went to Windsor?
I was potentially one of the first people in the UK, yes, to hold a Switch Lite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is
feels
light, isn't it?
Very comfortable. It's very comfortable. I can imagine playing playing for it for a long time. Yeah. It's ergonomically
it really is.
A hell of a lot better.
The D-pad's better because there is a D-pad now, because there wasn't, in the original one. It's the buttons. So there's an actual D-pad. The face buttons are kind of squishy, whereas the other ones are very clicky. I don't mind that at all. Obviously, the battery life's better. The screen's smaller, but I kind of in dock mode, because I'm old and blind, I'm holding it right up to my face anyway, so it's not an issue. It's just really comfortable in my hands. I just really like it. But there is something I want to talk to you about before we get into listener correspondence. And I don't quite know how to bring this up, chaps. So it's just sometimes you've got to just...
I'm a little worried.
Death Stranding.
Yes! 96.
So I watched the gameplay.
60-something.
I watched the gameplay, and I watched the second gameplay one was gameplay with inverted commas around it, wasn't it? It's a Norman Reedus simulator at that point, and there's some just weird stuff there.
I think the best thing here, Adam Cook, is for you to just say what you wrote on the Twitter.
I'm gonna front up, mate, and I'm gonna say that this wasn't on our docket. It wasn't on the list. There's enough on this list, and we've got listeners' correspondence and a lot of it. But for the third time today, I found myself thinking about Death Stranding.
Right.
I watched the gameplay now twice, both videos, both twice. I watched the second time. It's better because IGN. I'll shout out IGN. They've done a translated version, so you can actually know what Kojima and the really excitable Japanese woman is saying. I'm very excited for this game. Yeah. Very, and I don't know why. Because everything,
you have to
everything about this, everything about the way this game's been marketed, everything about this game's contents should be anti-Adam. I don't like the fact that there's a load of celebrities in the game. I really don't like the fact that it looks like it's being used to sell glasses, Monster Energy drink, and hats. I don't really like the way Kojima's acting like he's some independent who had nobody and nothing when he had Sony to help and the contacts. He just drops, all I had was contact. Yeah, some of the best in the business. Literally Guillermo del Toro and Mads Mikkelsen, clearly, And yet somehow...
But you do like pissing and creating mushrooms.
Somehow watching the actual gameplay, which is very much truncated for time... Something about that game's resonated with me. It looks interesting. It looks different. I think the idea of this shared world has been done before, but the doubling down on the high budget of it, something about it is really captured my imagination, and I am now completely turned around. And listen, if I play it and it's utter shit, then I will say it's utter shit. You know I will. But something about this has caught me, and I really, really want to play it. Like now, desperately now. I've been thinking about it 3 times today now. And I just need to get that on record and be honest with our listeners. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what... I just don't know. Some of the stuff, I don't know. Have you seen the translated videos?
No.
Yeah.
Right. So, Chris, you won't know this because he says it, doesn't show it. So when you've got all that stuff on your back, although, mountains of backpack on your back, you have to use the L and R buttons to balance yourself as you run so you don't fall over. That sounds awful. That sounds horrendous. But the fact it's got through QA suggests it works.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is that, I just don't think they're going to turn it down. I don't
agree. I don't agree. I don't think Sony are in the habit of pissing money up against a wall.
Man, look, with the situation that has come from his background and stuff with Konami, I think people are they're willing to go and work with this with the celebrity.
It's going to be a success no matter what we say.
It is, but like I've watched that goddamn thing too, because I'm in the exact same... Well, I'm not in the same boat as you right now, but I'm annoyed that I can't get in the same boat as you're in, because when I see that, and I just think it's a clusterfuck of too many things, too many mechanics, that I don't think deep down I'm gonna in any way give a shit about. I think I'd like to play the game, I fucking have it ordered, but I'm gonna play that game in hope that I stand wrong on the whole situation and it's unreal. But managing tons of crates, it looks ridiculous. First off, it just looks ridiculous when he's running around with it, right?
But he's showing off someone who knows that game intimately.
Yeah.
He also says later on you can get a car.
Yeah, balancing. The parts that I did was when he's just all of a sudden running extremely fast and launching over gaps and...
Yeah, but he's using a certain specific armor for that.
Yeah. I'm kind of okay, cool. But there's so much stuff that I think in this day and age of video games... I'm not saying this now that, it's right what I'm saying, but are we really going to sit down and be right, I have to manage all this? Considering what the likes of Red Dead, how Red Dead 2 was received in terms of time and your your management and stuff, people didn't have time for it. They didn't have the patience for it. They were like, oh, it's fucking slow, blah, 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 all this, that, and the other. And then Death Stranding, like, it is slow looking. Like, the weight management, like, the amount of pissing you have to do. And I do think, like, I know, like, I'm not just saying that for comedic, like, factor or whatever, but, like, when he's on that and he's like, no matter what way you look at it, you can't see his dick. I just think that's a fucking joke. I think he...
as I say, all that stuff should bug me and it should put me off, but I'm looking past it at the actual game that you'll be playing. You won't be pissing all the time. The actual game.
But to sit down and be like, that's what... Like, he focused nearly 2-3 minutes on that thing. And I was just like...
Really? I think there's a reason for that. I think he's hiding some more of that game. You know what he's like.
Yeah, I do, and I hope so. And I hope I play that game and be like, oh my god, it's actually unreal. And we can all actually turn around and go, do you know what? Whatever everyone says about Kojima and this, that, and the other, he's actually unreal. Because I do think his previous games are unreal. Like, I'm a huge fan. But there's something in me where I'm like, I actually feel like I'm going to be upset over the fact that this game won't click with me. And I'm just not good when it comes to management stuff. I'm not interested.
No, that's the thing. I do like survival games. So I think seeing it, I worry there'll be too much of it. Like managing, like your bladder, take a breather. Some of that worries me. But again, I just, we'll see. Let's just do some listener correspondence, man. Let's just get into it. Kieran at McPoo. Chris, this is going to go to you first. Which playable character do you reckon smells the worst? My vote goes to Roadhog from Overwatch, he says.
Playable character.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know.
I think somebody that might stink of shit after a day of the adventure that has been had would be Nathan Drake.
I was going to say Drake.
No. Musky. Oh, I don't think he's
would stink.
Bad.
Oh, I think it would be awful. Sweat, blood, mud, dirt. Like, I think he would stink.
Keeping on the Kojima thing, I always felt like Psycho Mantis smelled of piss. I can imagine he's just like, I don't know, he's a bit crusty knickers, like that kind of. He probably stinks of piss.
Yeah. I'm going to say anyone who wears that Gears armor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you imagine the smell of that Gears armor?
Fucking hell.
Do you know what I mean?
All the cowboys in Red Dead. Like, there's not really much hygiene. After a fight in the mud.
Yeah.
And then
Jesus.
you ride on your horse.
To be honest, Trevor from GTA 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
He's definitely telling us that he's smelly.
Dale at Delboy on Twitter wants to know, what was your first celebrity crush, and do you have any unconventional ones?
Mine was Jerry Halliwell.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair answer.
See, I get right. So guess the time in which I realised that I was sexually attracted to women. So my crush phase...
What a sentence that is. He's in a police lineup and he breaks that one out. What a sentence to say on a podcast.
My crush phase started with Anna Klumsky. Now, do you know who she is?
Nope.
Can you remember My Girl? The film where she played a girl called Vader. Yes. So she was the first kind of celebrity, which wasn't really a celebrity, it was more her character.
But you're the same age as me, aren't you?
Yeah, but I was the same age as her when I watched it.
Right.
Mate, look, let
him have his crush, man.
Sorry, I'm not shaming you.
Thank you. I don't want to get a reputation.
Publicly.
So then the next one was Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth.
Ooh,
and at that point, I was younger. So she was the next one. And then it went from Jennifer Connelly to Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson's
I had a picture of her in my wooden desk in junior school. We lifted up the desk and there was a picture of Pamela Anderson inside.
Clothed? Or was your school quite liberal?
No, she was clothed. She had a swimsuit on. So her physique was outlined.
Okay.
But no nips. It was just she was a buxom lass, and that's kind of where it all changed for me.
You wouldn't go for Sam Fox or anything?
Nah.
I mean, she had an absolute lovely face, didn't she?
Shut up.
And I've said that in a deliberate way that sounds like I've edited it. It's a lovely face.
Yeah.
I think we should move on, right? And the reason I say this is...
Adam Cook. What's yours?
I just said Sam Fox, Jerry Halliwell, Pamela Anderson. I can't remember much younger than that.
I bet you were a fan of Gail Platt.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
we didn't go into unconventional.
I mean, Deirdre Rashid for me, obviously. No, but the reason I say we need to move on is that I'm conscious this is 30-something white males just talking about women, and I don't think that's a good look. But Dale has another question for us, which is, assuming money and licensing is no object, what would be your dream game compilation, and what theme would it have? So he says, for example, a suggestion I saw was a compilation of all of Sega's classic arcade racing games bundled. I'd buy something like that in an instant. So, yeah, your dream game compilation, and what theme would it have? Now, I've got a good one, but I'm worried you two are going to steal it.
Oh, you go first, so.
Okay, I want... remember Super Mario All-Stars?
Yeah.
I want Super Mario All-Stars 2. All the 3D games. It's for Switch.
Okay,
so Mario 64, Galaxy 1, 2, Sunshine.
Yeah, that'd be unreal.
Don't put Odyssey. Maybe you put 3D World in there. I would pay quite happily full price. Do it in 2 parts. In fact, it's called Super Mario All-Stars, right? Make that like a package that you buy the separate games for if you want. I'll buy all of them. 20 quid each. I'd pay for every one of those to play again on my Switch.
Mine's probably very obvious, but I would love a bundle of Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Wind Waker.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I'm boring, but I'm a big fan of all the old Spider-Man games. So there's Ultimate Spider-Man on the GameCube, where you played as Spider-Man and Venom. And then there's Spider-Man 2. And then there's the old school Mega Drive Spider-Mans. Just every Spider-Man game ever, all on one disc for me.
I mean, I'll be honest, I quite like Metroid Prime Trilogy to come to Switch too, actually. Because that's quite difficult to find.
Oh, I know, man.
That's quite hard to find now. I've got the other M on Wii. Was it Wii? It was Wii, wasn't it? No, was it? It was Wii, the other M game, wasn't it?
I don't know.
But I've got that, but I can't find a copy of the trilogy. David Ayres at David Ayres _ that's David AYRES _ sexiest animal, extinct or not?
Goat.
Right.
That's so funny you say that.
Not really. I was joking.
I'm glad you said that.
I watched a video last night of that. Do you know that video?
Whoa. Does this need to be screened before you...
That's your mind. That's your mind.
Yeah, cool. Yep, shit. Damn it.
I ain't that way.
Yep.
Yeah, you put yourself in that situation, my friend.
Yep. Well, hey.
I
didn't put myself in that situation.
You did.
I put myself in that. No, I didn't. I put myself in thinking about that situation. That situation has never occurred. You're thinking about
goats a different way. I'm thinking about goats climbing a mountain, a dam.
What, the Game of Thrones character?
No. Do you ever see the goats climbing dams?
Mate, you've got this innuendo started. I would literally do an hour podcast of just repeatedly... Sorry, so what's the sexiest animal? Extinct or not?
Well, Chris is saying goat.
I'm saying rabbit. I'll tell you in a minute why.
I'm going to say polar bear.
It's not sexy though, is it?
What the fuck, man? If I was going around looking like a polar bear, I'd be thinking I'm sexy.
It's a bit... No, I don't know. I don't see the sexiness. It's quite...
a rabbit is not
like
sexy.
Get to know it, and then start to find it attractive on a much higher level than just looks. I don't think.
What do you think a rabbit is?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the media has portrayed rabbits as sexy over time, and
that's just the Cadbury's Caramel advert.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Right?
Okay.
If you've ever watched Space Jam, Lola Bunny in Space Jam,
Jessica Rabbit,
she is sexy.
That's not the rabbit. You can't compare that. You can't say, like, you're not looking... You don't go to a pet shop and see a load of Jessica Rabbits in a cage. You just see rabbits.
Yeah, but rabbits are sexy. All right, then.
You can't
They're
just
sexier than a polar bear.
But hang on, no. You can't say a rabbit is sexy and ignore the fact that they just, like, shit out M&M's non-stop all day long.
All right, well, if we...
Polar bears are graceful. They just kind of walk along looking on nice with their hair. Being cold. But kind of loving it.
Being cool, because they're being cool.
See?
I'm just going to say humans, because humans are animals. I'm not sure why neither of you did that, but I've said it, so it's absolutely fine. You carry on shagging your polar bears, and Chris, in a northern accent, you can fuck a rabbit. That's fine. I'm just going to stick to humans. Sorry. Thomas at LlamaFluff42 is... I'm not sorry, I was just sat there thinking,
Jesus,
why...
happens?
I was thinking, I'm going last here. Someone's going to say human, and I'm going to look a pervert. And it's fine. Absolutely brilliant. I couldn't have wanted that to go any better. Thomas says, what's your least favourite type of tweet? Ones that start with PSA, ones that say, you're not a real gamer unless, ones that are punctuated with the clappy hands between, in every single word that... I can't even do it. Ones with too many wee faces. Thomas is Scottish, by the way. He means small, not urine. Just to be clear. Ones with too many wee faces. He says, I think the youth call them emoticons. So, what's your least favourite type of tweet? PSA. You're not a real gamer unless. Loads of clappy hands or loads of emoticons.
See, I went off on one. Because this is something I feel very strongly about.
Clearly.
I get very angry scrolling through Twitter.
Or angry. I would prefer angry.
Angry. Yeah, all right. Fucking, I made a mistake. Yeah, mock me.
No, I'm just trying to make you feel the rage, Chris. I'm trying to make you feel the rage.
I do, really. So my biggest thing is when someone says this, full stop, and then they've retweeted something, or thread, full stop. Don't know why. Bothers me, right? And then another one when they're like, your boy reviewed this, or your man went and did this. And I'm like, fucking, you're not. You're a don't talk.
That's quite
in third
specific,
person.
Chris.
Yeah, well, yeah. But then if we're going via this list, then it'd be every time somebody does that in a tweet. You
don't talk like that in real life, then? You don't just go down the pub, have a pint, and when you talk to someone, just clap in their face every other word.
Yeah.
Do you know what that reminds me a bit of? Like I saw the Fast Show was on Gold the other night, which it normally isn't. It just had 2 episodes, and I looked at the listing, it's gone again. I've been waiting years for that to come back on. And do you remember the Ted and Ralph episode where Ted's wife dies? And they're playing a game in the pub and they're all pissed, and they have to do a vegetable. So your carrot, wife's potato, died. Tomato. Do you remember that? It reminds me of that, but like clapping in someone's face. Adam, what's yours? What's your least favourite?
Well, nearly every tweet ever, but if I'm going to pick one from Thomas's list, I'm going to pick that you're not a real gamer unless I tell you when somebody writes that. And I've seen it more than, like, when Thomas is writing that there, I was like, fuck, I actually have seen that a lot. And you know what? The only way to describe it is sad. It's just like, shut up. Like, there's just a lot of things like that I'm like, oh, go away. Like, there's been a lot of mileage going there recently. I don't know if you've seen that one of there's some guy in the gym henching, and he says, I don't play.
Wait, sorry?
He's like, what?
What did you say he was doing?
He's like hench. He's like this big, massive fella. Like,
yeah, I thought you said that. I've never heard that word said out loud like that.
Really?
It's very internet-y talk, isn't it? Hench.
No, mate, it's a young thing. Like, a lot.
Yeah, I'm fucking young. You're just an old.
Yeah, I am, mate. And
I haven't. I don't use.
And I'm going to continue to say the phrase "I like something," and I'm not going to say "I stan you." Sorry.
Right, hold up, no, right? We're sidetracking here.
Yeah.
This big lad.
Yeah.
On the thing says, "Have you not seen it?" He's like, "I don't play Dungeons and Dragons."
I've seen that.
It's what's his fucking name? He's in AEW, Cody Rhodes' promotion.
Right.
I have seen this. It's fucking amazing.
That's come up, and now every single person is just showing off their muscles and going, I do. And I'm just like,
I saw one of them.
Yeah, but hang on. To be fair, the initial guy who tweeted it, who said I do, is Joe Manganiello, who's like, he's in Magic Mike. He's fucking cool. Like, he is sound, and the fact that he's not being a dick. And he obviously clearly doesn't know who MJF is.
No, I haven't seen it, but it's just like, it's gone so far that everyone's doing it, to the point where I feel I should just take a picture of me topless going, I do.
I mean, I could do that. I'd do that, but no one wants to see my tits, mate.
Please.
But which one was, so it was, you're not a real gamer unless, I'm with you, Ads, actually. I don't mind the emoticons. I find them quite fun, actually. I quite like them. And I've started to use them more and more. I quite like them.
I use a lot. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, I'm fine with them. But yeah, the thing is, right, if I don't see that you're not a real gamer unless, because if I did, the person who tweeted it would be muted or unfollowed. Because it's like, I've not got time for you in my life. I've become quite ruthless on Twitter now because I don't pretend on there, but obviously that's what a lot of people do. And my kind of feeling is now that if I wouldn't sit and have a pint with you in the pub and you're going to talk like that, if you're not going to talk like that in real life, then I'm not interested in what you got to say online either. Social media will be the ruiner of the world. I've said that before, and I'm saying it here. It will end society. Social media. Thomas has a few other questions for us. Does a longer game constitute good value, or is it more about the enjoyment you get from the overall experience? I've never subscribed to the idea that longer is better, less can be more. I'm just going to say completely agreed. Like Journey springs to mind. Journey is the poster child.
Gone Home.
Yeah, Gone Home. If a game can be long and brilliant, God of War was quite long and just 10 out of 10 exceptional. Red Dead Redemption, I find the same. But the idea that the thing that this stems from is when developers started coming out and going, our game is 10 times Skyrim size, and it's like, no, you've misunderstood what made Skyrim good there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
Lots of different sizes appeal to lots of different people.
Yeah,
well.
We got enough titles for this week's podcast without that. He asks, you find yourself in hell. Cheery. Forced to repeat one of these situations over and over for all of eternity. Which would you pick from this terrible list? Number 1, dinner with the in-laws. Number 2, scale and polish at the dentist. Number 3, small talk with neighbours. Number 4, dinner with Adam Carroll. Now, I think we have to exclude Adam from this because he can't. I mean, he's just going to do dinner with himself, isn't he? Because he'd get on with himself.
Come over to my place, lads. Hook you up with some solid sweet corn and cheese sandwiches.
Chris,
Which
one, Chris? Which one?
Which one would I not want to repeat?
No, which one would you choose that you have to do over and over again?
In-laws.
Yes, same.
I'm very, very. I like my in-laws.
Yeah, I love mine, and that would not be hell for me. The dentist one would be hell. I do not like the dentist. I mean, I don't suppose anyone likes him, but I am borderline phobic of the dentist. I wouldn't mind dinner with Adam Carroll, because I'd cook.
I think that sounds like heaven.
It doesn't specify that Adam would cook.
Depends what he's eating. If you're just feeding me these fucking sweet corn sandwiches all the time, then
yummy.
You get used to it. Last one from Thomas. Is it important that you have a physical games collection, or are you happy to trade in and move on? Now, I know Adam's answer, but give it anyway.
Yeah, physical.
Yep.
No.
I am, and I'm the one in the middle. I still like getting collector's editions now and again of games I love.
I love it.
I still collect certain games like Horizon Zero Dawn. We've talked about it before. There are certain games I truly, truly love. Just now and again looking at them and going, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I like this a lot." But equally, a lot of digital.
Don't have the room.
No, and that's the thing. I think that's why I'm somewhere in the middle, because I think to actually play the game, I just want it on a hard drive. But if it's a game I love, I like to collect stuff on it, if that makes sense. Related question, Matt King, at King_8938. If Thomas, at LlamaFluff42, was to take a week off asking questions, what would you guys do to fill the silence?
Cry.
Well, this week we've had a bumper crop. So Thomas has given us a load, but people could pick up the slack, and it's great to see. And I just want to say thank you to all. I love listener correspondence. This is my favourite part of the show. Well, every part's my favourite part, but it's great. All these questions are great. But don't stop, Thomas. This is what we're saying. Or Mr. Thomas, as I will now refer to you from, in a Scottish accent. Nick's Awakening, which is Nick Gillum at Nike G1. This is a simple one. If you had money to buy Astral Chain, Control, or Link's Awakening, which would you buy?
Link's Awakening.
Now you say simple, but
yeah.
If I'm honest, I am dying to get Control. I have Link's Awakening as of recording right now, and Astral Chain I have. And
but he's saying you don't. It's difficult because I've played all three of these to completion.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think. Does that mean I'm in the best place to judge or the worst? I think the best, because he has played none of these. So he's basically asking, out of these three, which one should I play first, isn't he? Because he wants all three of these games.
If I was to quickly say anything, like I would say, from what I've played of Astral Chain, if you have not played Link's Awakening, then I would definitely say Link's Awakening. But if you have played Link's Awakening and you're okay to sit on it, then I'd probably say Control, because that just sounds...
That's my answer.
Sounds great.
That's my answer. I know he's played Link's Awakening, but at the same time, so had I, and I was desperate to play it. It is that same game, but with gorgeous graphics. You can look up a guide for the original Game Boy game, and it works in this. It's that similar. I'd say Control. That game is creeping up my top 10 of the year list. It's something else. It's got problems, and it probably wouldn't win my list so far because of those problems. But I mean, the DLC they've announced, like just looking at that, the one that's due out, like the last one that's out next year, like I wish I could time travel. So I would say Control. Probably Control, probably Link's Awakening, then Astral Chain. But all three of those are must-plays for me. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. He also says, same person, Nick Gillum, Nike G1, a chicken and an egg are having sex. Who came first?
I have no idea how to answer this.
The chicken.
I just don't really want to see a chicken and an egg having
sex. I'm just happy with Chris's answer. I felt the silence was warranted.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.
That's all right.
And he has one more question, which we're going to end this week on. He says, will you miss me? And he is referring to the fact that Nick, who has been with us quite some time, many, many years, is in the process of writing his last review for us. He has written his last everything for us. It's literally this last review is due up at the end of this month. And that will be it. Nick's gone. And the answer to the will you miss me is yes, mate. We will miss you. We will miss everything about you. We will miss your passion. And we will miss your dedication, your commitment. We haven't really taken many new people on over the last few years. So the people who are at GodisaGeek have been there for some time. I do think of them as our little family. I don't know how you guys feel, but I do think of them as the most dedicated team you'll find of its type. I'm proud of what we've done as a team. So I hope in time Nick will come back. He's not leaving under any dark cloud. He has been on the podcast a couple of times. He's leaving because it makes sense for his life, and I truly hope that everything goes well for him, and the guy deserves a bit of luck, and I'm rooting for him. And how about you guys? You got two choices here. You can either just go with the tone I've set, or you can just...
I honestly thought that was how it was going to end, because that was very beautifully put.
I will miss him.
I think
I agree.
He's done a lot. He's done a lot of reviews over the last few years. I mean, I've been here a year less, and he was already.
That's mad to me. I can't believe that.
The Switch coverage he's put in,
yep.
like and the little things as well, like the news. Like, it's really appreciated when we lost our news editor. Well, we didn't lose him. He's not
dead. No.
But when he stepped down, we felt a massive hole, and he helped to fill that hole. So thank you, Nick.
I mean, Adam hardly knows him, but it's... no, genuinely, he will be missed, and maybe in some time he will come back, and I hope so. But also, I hope his life's going so well he doesn't have time for, because, there's lots of people that have come through GodisaGeek stores, and some of them have gone on to great success, and I feel very proud that we've helped that in any way, shape, or form. I love what we do. I'll probably be here till I'm in my box. That's just how it is. Yeah, we will continue on. GodisaGeek will continue on, and we will miss Nick very much. And it's on record now. Thank you very much for everything you've done for the site. And I know our listeners, readers, viewers, what other ways of consuming content are there? Tweeters, Facebookers, Instagrammers. They will all say good luck with the future. And that is a podcast for this week. Lots of games. As I said, you will understand what I'm saying, because there is just... I didn't even talk about Untitled Goose Game, man. Maybe next week. Maybe there's time for that next week. We'll find time. You'll find time, of course, to listen to us. Adam Carroll, Chris White, thank you very much for your time to be here talking.
Thank you very much.
You didn't know what to do with that, did you? You thought you were just going to leave me. You were just going to wait and see. How's he going to wrap his tongue around these words that are coming out of his mouth? It's been a long podcast, and he's tired now. He's clearly tired. Well, I'm never too tired for the podcast. And to our listeners, thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next week, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.